Hey everybody, it's Dr. H. Welcome to Thursday, or as I like to call it, Friday Eve. Um, Today's formative assessments or formative assignments are pretty straightforward on this first page and then get a little complicated on the second page. So before we go to the second page, let's work out a couple problems on page 1. You'll notice that we practiced doing subtraction of fractions yesterday and adding of mixed numbers yesterday. So today we're sort of blending those together and we are doing subtraction with mixed numbers. So I'm going to do number 5 for you and number 6 for you so that you should be able to do 1 through 4 independently. So the problem for number 5 is 2 1/4 minus 1 1/3. Well, the first thing I notice is that I do not have common denominators. The second thing I notice is that this is a mixed number. And when I personally have a mixed number, the easiest way for me to do the problem, for me to solve it, is to make the problems mad. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply and add, multiply and add, and let me show you what our new problem is going to look like. All right, 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 3 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. I'm sorry, that's not right. What was I thinking? Erase. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Brain fart. And then I keep my same denominators. So my new problem is 9/4 minus 4/3. Well, can I solve this yet? Is my answer going to be 5/1? No, it is not, because I need to have common denominators. So let's find our common denominators. You might be able to do this in your head, but I'm going to go ahead and do it on the screen for you. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 4 is 12. Well, there's my common denominator, my lowest common denominator. That's a 12. When I erased it, it sort of changed numbers. All right, so my new math problem is going to have 12s as my common denominator, my lowest common denominator. So can I just put a 9 here? No, I can't, because whatever I did to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So I multiplied 4 times 3, so I have to multiply 9 times 3, and I get 27. I multiplied 3 times 4, so I have to multiply 4 times 4, and I get 16. Can I solve the problem now? Of course I can. So my common denominator does not change. 27 minus 16 is 11, and that is my answer, 11/12. Fairly straightforward, scribbly page, but I think you've got it. Make sure you have scratch paper to give yourselves a lot of room. Let's do number 6, because that one's a little more complicated. Right, so the problem is 3 1/6 minus 1 3/4. Now, can I do that? No, partially because my fractions are mixed numbers and I like to make them mad, but most importantly, my denominators are not the same. So I'm going to go ahead and make these into mad numbers. So I've got to have a new problem. So 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1 is 19, and it's still over 6. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. That was supposed to be a plus sign, not just a 1. So 7. And again, still over 4. Well, I need to find my common denominator right now. I cannot, this is not my answer. My answer is not 12 over 2. That is not my answer. You can't do the math at this point. So let's find our common denominator. I've got a 6 and I've got a 4. 6 times 1 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. 4 times 3 is 12. There's my common denominator. So now I can do the problem. So I've got 12 as my common denominator. Whatever I did to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 19 times 2 is 38. Right? Because I multiplied 6 times 2 to get 12. So I have to multiply 19 times 2 and I get 38. I multiplied 4 times 3 to get 12. So I have to multiply 7 times 3 to get 21. Can I do the math now? Totally. My denominator doesn't change. 38 minus 21 is 17. Am I done? No, because you can see since the numerator is larger than the denominator, I have an improper fraction. So how am I going to make that into a proper fraction? Well, we typically divide. 12 would go into 17 how many times? Now, I could write the division problem out, but I know personally that 12 only goes into 17 one time. It's just obvious to me because 12 times 2 would be 24, and that's bigger. So the way I'm going to do that, since it only goes in one time, is I'm going to subtract 1 from my mixed number. So when I do that, I'm subtracting 1, so I'm going to put my 1 here, and then 17 minus 12 is 5. 12 minus 12 doesn't change because that's the denominator. So your answer is 1 and 5/12. So are you confused about that? Because it is a little confusing. So I'm just going to repeat that last couple steps. To make an improper fraction proper, I need to divide the numerator by the denominator. And I know it only goes in one time. So there's my 1. I have to subtract that 1, which is 12 over 12. That's the same as 1. And when I do that, I can now subtract 17 minus 12 to get 5, and my denominator doesn't change. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too confusing. Again, if it is, Google subtracting with mixed numbers, and I bet you a fabulous Khan Academy video will pop up. So let's go down to our second set of problems. All right, so for the second page, you are estimating and solving the problems, which I know is not your favorite thing to do, but it's great practice and it's a real world thing that you have to do. So, solve the problem, estimate to tell if your solution is reasonable, show your work. And over here, you can tell you're estimating the amount of the first and second package. So, what is the closest number to 3/8? Is it 0? Is it half? Or is it 1? So think about if you were drawing and you had 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I had 3 of them. Halfway would be here. Whoops. That's half. So am I closer to a half or to a whole? That would be how you would estimate. Do the same thing for 2/3. Let's draw it out. If I have 3 and I have 2 of them, am I closer to half or am I closer to 1? All right, so you should be able to solve that second one. Then you should be able to estimate the 2. And then I do not see a place for you to solve it. So you do not need to solve it. You just need to move on to number 8. Rosa has 5 1/4 yards of ribbon for a craft project. She already has 2 7/8 yards of ribbon. How much more does she need? So you've estimated, drawing it out just like I did for your 5 1/4. You are doing the same with 2 7/8. How much more yard does she need once you've estimated? And then the same for number 11. How to make fruit punch. Tyrone needs 3 3/8 quarts of orange juice and 3 3/4 quarts of cranberry juice. How many quarts of juice does he need in all? You're estimating. I hope you do okay on this on the estimating. I think you're going to rock it, and not like a rocket that goes into the sky, but like you're going to rock this problem. And I look forward to seeing you online on Thursday.